Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live stream where we expose LIA and his mini spinouts. It's good to see everybody here. I want to welcome everyone inside chat. Ron Schaefer, DJ, Parson, and everyone who's not inside chat but watching. Welcome. Give me 1 second while I start getting stuff ready. All right, folks. Let me get the first thing brought up here. We have a story coming from the Real News Network, and they did an interview with Sean. And I want to bring this up because a lot of the stuff they mention is not really accurate to what happened in the videos they show. Hey, Nightwolf.
Hello, my name is Tia Graham, and welcome to the Police Accountability Report. As I always make clear, this show has a single purpose, holding the politically powerful institution of policing accountable. And to do so, we don't just focus on the bad behavior of individual cops. Instead, we examine the system that makes bad policing possible. And today, we will...
Now, Sean has appeared on this channel before, and on this particular channel, we can clearly tell they're an anti-cop channel. They have a clear bias, but yet they call themselves journalists. That's not really going to help Sean in this, but let's take a little bit more of a watch here.
Achieve this goal by talking to popular cop watcher Long Island Audits about his recent battles with federal authorities. He is one of the fiercest defenders of First Amendment rights and a fearless advocate for police accountability. And today, he will be breaking down for us his recent encounters with federal officers and Border Patrol agents. Shocking video that shows just how tenuous our rights are and why it is vitally important that auditors like Sean are on the streets defending them. But before we get started, I don't have a sponsor. We don't run any ads on our channel. All that we ask is that you like the video, share it, and consider subscribing to our channel. That's it. That's all we're asking. So please like, share, and comment on our videos. It helps us get the word out, and it can even help our guests get justice. And I also want to let you know how to contact me. If you have video evidence of police misconduct, please email it to us privately at par@therealnews.com or reach out to me directly on Facebook or Twitter at Tejas Baltimore, and we might be able to investigate for you. And I'm going to thank all of my Patreon patrons at Accountability Reports at the end of this episode. Okay, now that part is out of the way. Now, as we have witnessed in Minneapolis and beyond, federal law enforcement has begun to engage in urban policing tactics that are both shocking and deadly. In the past several weeks alone, 2 American citizens were shot dead on the streets of Minneapolis. One, Alex Preddy, was also exercising his Second Amendment right when he was killed. But along with the shootings, federal officers have stretched the boundaries of our Constitution on a daily basis. Agents who have violently engaged protesters in ways that appear to consistently violate the First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments. And that's why one of the most prolific cop watchers working today has decided to enter the fray, none other than Long Island Audits. Concerned over what he was witnessing, he set out to test the constitutional IQ of ICE and Border Patrol agents with cameras and his knowledge of the law. Now, also known as Sean Reyes, he drove to Texas to put his rights at risk at a Border Patrol checkpoint and later at one of their regional offices. Fortunately, he has agreed to join us today to go through the videos and explain what he uncovered. So without further ado, I am joined by Long Island Audits. Sean, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
First, I want to take a look and get your thoughts on your stop at a Texas Border Patrol checkpoint. It's worth noting that this facility, fairly far from the border itself, has been recently constructed conducted by the current administration. Let's run the video of you as you approach the checkpoint while we watch. And could you talk about what we're seeing and where this is happening?
So that was located in Falfurrias, Texas. It's in southern Texas, about 80 miles from the United States border with Mexico.
So, Sean, just talk a little bit about why you approached the way you did. What made you confident you were lawfully exercising your constitutional rights?
I from the case law that I've read, I don't have to answer any questions. We have a Fifth Amendment right not to answer questions.
Okay, so now you understand where we're at so far with this whole ICE story. Now, if you guys remember from the first stream, Sean didn't actually mention that anything. He didn't say he was invoking his Fifth Amendment rights to remain silent. He did not mention the simple fact that he was a U.S. citizen. He didn't do any of that. He just remained quiet. Now, yes, you do have a right not to answer their questions, but you have to invoke your Fifth Amendment rights by saying that you're invoking them, not just remaining silent. Now, the main issue we have with this and Sean is the simple fact that they're spinning the narrative as if he was the one who didn't do anything wrong, that Border Patrol violated his constitutional and his civil rights, that this is this grand vendetta.
Constitution doesn't disappear at an immigration checkpoint 80 miles from the border. It is still valid. So I exercise my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and not answer any questions by the Border Patrol.
So you approach the checkpoint and invoke your right to remain silent. Let's watch what happened. And as we do, can you describe what you were?
Okay, that's not what happened. And in fact, I can actually show you what happened because I pulled up the footage from that live stream. So this is what led up previously to LIA getting to the checkpoint. We're going to get right to where he is being in the video.
See him right there.
Okay, we can hear him talking
through the vehicle. This is supposed to be a free country. Doesn't look like it.
But it is a free country.
I'm still in the United States of America, aren't I?
We take the audio down some here. Yes, you are in America, and the U.S. Supreme Court have determined that these internal checkpoints are constitutional. They have a legality to do so. Now, we're going to watch. Tell me where you hear him invoke his Fifth Amendment right.
Let's see what happens.
Perfect. United States citizen, sir. No,
I don't hear. I hear crickets.
Exams, ID, anything? No.
There's nothing coming out of Sean to say he's invoked his Fifth Amendment right or to refuse to answer questions. He's just remaining quiet.
So I understand you have your rights. Not gonna lie to anyone, right? Correct. I just need you to state your citizenship and you'll be free to go. Now, if you don't want to state your citizenship, it's up to you. But then I'll be referring you to secondary, so you can speak to agents over there. No, nothing. All right, sir. If you don't mind going to the number 2 parking spot.
Okay. Now we just heard from Border Patrol that if he doesn't respond, he would go to secondary and he would be asked the questions again. And if he refuses to answer, he would be detained. This is lawful as long as the detainment is a reasonable amount of time. 20 to 30 minutes to determine status as a U.S. citizen is reasonable. Now, all Sean had to do was either speak to them saying, I refuse to answer any questions, and he could have gone on his way, or he could have answered Yes, I am a U.S. citizen. He doesn't do that. He could have easily answered the questions and been on his way, but no. He chose to make himself get detained. That was all his doing. Now let's go back to the interview. Because this is even funnier.
We're feeling as this encounter unfolded.
United States citizen, sir. No, nothing. Not even bands, ID, anything. No.
Sure. So right from the beginning, when I wouldn't answer their questions, I remained silent. They gave me some chances to talk to them, and I remained silent.
Hold on.
I understand you have your rights. Not gonna lie to anyone.
I'm going to turn the volume up a little bit more on this.
Right, correct. I just need you to state your citizenship and you'll be free to go. Now, if you don't want to state your citizenship, it's up to you, but then I'll be referring you to secondary so you can speak to agents over there. No, nothing? All right, sir. If you don't mind going to the number 2 parking spot, the agents will be there for you, okay?
So before I ask another question, I just want to run the video to show what happened when the supervisor on the scene confronted you. Let's take a look.
You have some kind of medical emergency going on?
Now we're going to hear more
You look
discrepancies.
Are you going to speak to us?
How are you doing, sir? Supervisor Guetta, you're in an immigration checkpoint, sir. So your job here is to respond whether you are a United States citizen or not.
Instead of just asking me to step out of the car, which
Okay, they're going to cut out the part where they tell him that he is a U.S. citizen. Okay, they're going to cut that part out. But I want to get to that part in his video because it's very damning on his argument. So let's hear more of Sean's explanation that I'm going to play from his original video, not what they're showing you on this news outlet. And right here, I love the title. Long Island Audits reveals the cost of fighting ICE. This is not ICE. This is Border Patrol.
I would have done. I don't want to escalate anything. I'm just trying to exercise my rights. If a law enforcement officer asks me to step out of the car, I'm going to step out of the car. There's case law on it. Instead of asking me, they ask me while ripping me out violently from the car.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you again, or we're going to place you under arrest.
Okay, they're going to violently rip you out of the car. I've watched that video multiple times. I've covered it. They did not rip you out of the car violently. In fact, let's actually look at his video. That he entitled, "I was abducted by Border Patrol for exercising my rights."
No, he's refusing. He's not speaking.
So here is the supervisor.
Supervisor Guetta, you're in an immigration checkpoint, sir. So your job here is to respond whether you are a United States citizen or not. If you're a United States citizen of this country. Are you a United States citizen, sir?
Yes,
And
they
if
did.
you not answer the question, you will be detained, you'll be placed under arrest and taken inside for you either can speak to us or we will take you inside. You have 2 options.
Now we can, you know what? I have to do this because
now we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way. The choice is yours.
that clip is actually very accurate for this entire interaction. Now, he can do it the easy way or he can do it the hard way. Easy way, yes, I'm a U.S. citizen. Or I choose to invoke my Fifth Amendment rights to remain silent and answer any questions. At that point, he would have been free. He could have been on his way. The fact that he is not talking is very damning to that argument.
I'm going to tell you again, or we're going to place you under arrest. Are you a United States citizen, sir?
No weapons, no nothing. Step up.
Okay.
Put your hands right here.
Okay. I don't see them being violent with Sean. I don't. He says they violently ripped me out of my car. Why does that sound just like when Chili describes any of his interactions with police? Yeah. He literally started a GoFundMe that same night that this happened, where he showed his suitcase that they quote unquote cut open. This is not about accountability. This is not about holding ICE accountable. This isn't about that. This is about Sean and his need to spin the narrative. I'll actually bring this down here. I don't hear any aggression coming from the officers. I don't.
Without ever asking.
Okay. We didn't hear any aggression. We didn't hear them saying that they were ripping him out of the car. We didn't hear any excessive force. We didn't see any excessive force. Now, Sean also claims that they searched him and they took all of his property from him when they took him to the holding cell, but he had a secret recorder on him that recorded the whole time he was inside the detention cell, which I find very odd. Because if they searched you and they took all your property, where were you hiding this secret recording device?
Are you
Again, now we're going to see their version.
They put me on the side of my car with my hands on my on the top of my car. They searched me. They brought
standard
me inside.
practice.
They told me that I would need to put my fingerprints on this fingerprint scanner that they had. I said, I'm not doing that. They told me, well, if you don't do that, you're going to be here for a very long time. We're going to force you to do it. I told them, well, you could force me. I'm not. He's like, well, are you going to fight me? If I get a bunch of guys in here to put your fingerprints on the scanner, are you going to fight us? And I'm like, I'm not going to fight you, but I'm also not going to just comply. That's completely unconstitutional. You have no right.
Again, Sean is wrong, because at these immigration checkpoints, they are allowed to use biometrics, which would be a fingerprint scanner, retinal scanner, or facial recognition to determine if you are a U.S. citizen. And it's perfectly constitutional. It's legal. The Supreme Court said it's legal. And he's changed his story yet again. When he first did the first initial live stream talking about this, he said that one agent said, are you going to comply and allow us to take your fingerprints? He said no. Then he said, oh, I guess we're gonna have to fight about this. He says he wasn't going to cooperate. Then he says the agent claimed that I guess we're going to be fighting then. And then when he did another live stream, that story changed. Now that he's doing this interview, the story's changed yet again. In a span of two live streams and one interview, his story's changed 3 times. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if something like that was to happen to me, I think I would be able to remember it more accurately than Sean here, because his story keeps changing.
Legal right to do that. I said, well, sit in the cell for a while. So they put me in the cell. They said, well, while you think about it, you could just think about it, sit in the cell. They put me in the cell. They took me out of the cell. They kept asking me questions. I wouldn't answer their questions. And the punishment for not answering their questions was being placed into the jail cell.
Now, how long were you detained and what happened during your detention? And if you don't mind, could you talk about what rights were violated during the encounter?
None of them.
About 30 minutes was the total interaction time. Until they figured out who I was, which I assume I had a Long Island Audit T-shirt in my suitcase on the very top. So I assume when they opened up my suitcase unlawfully, they saw Long Island Audit. They put 2 and 2 together.
Okay. So you're saying because they saw a Long Island Audit T-shirt, they saw a T-shirt that you were able, you were able to be determined that way to being Long Island Audits. Let me pull something up here because something just doesn't smell right in Denmark here. Okay. Now, we're going to stop sharing that screen because I want to share this one. So you could buy a Long Island Audit T-shirt from his website, the official Long Island Audit T, right there. So let's just say anybody in this side chat, let's say anybody in this side chat bought that T-shirt and that T-shirt was in your suitcase. Does that mean you are LIA? And they're going to say, oh, he's got the Long Island Audit T-shirt. He must be Sean Paul Reyes. Okay, if I have a shirt that has, Dale Earnhardt on it, a car and his number, does that mean I'm Dale Earnhardt? If I have a 9 Inch Nails T-shirt, does that mean I'm a part of the band? That's the logic here. That is the logic. Because you have that T-shirt, that means they figured out that's who you are. Can anyone here in this side chat, anyone watching, make that make sense to me? Because it doesn't. I mean, I'm just saying that the logic he is putting out there makes no sense.
Because the supervisor, did admit, she's like, yeah, we figured out exactly who you are, indicating that she knew that more than I was Sean Paul Reyes, that I was Long Island Audit, that I run the YouTube channel Long Island Audit. And she tried to explain her actions.
Just because of a T-shirt, guys.
Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe my First Amendment right, the minute they shut off my recording device, was violated. I believe my Fourth Amendment right was violated when I was put inside of a cell. I've asked them multiple times, do you have reasonable suspicion that I am not a citizen? Do you have reasonable suspicion that I've committed any other federal crimes? They said, no, we just don't know who you are.
Okay, so you're released and they didn't charge you, but how do you feel about the experience? And do you think they understand the Constitution? And if they violated your rights, what can you do about it? I mean,
look how she's leading these questions. She's not making it about facts. She's making it about feelings. So you're telling me you're the Cape Crusader because you own a Batman T-shirt? I knew it. I knew it, Captain Snarky. I knew you weren't a captain. I knew you were the Cape Crusader. But they eventually got his ID through a photo that they ran. Okay. So back to the leading questions here. She asks what rights he thinks were violated. not pointing out what rights were actually violated, if there were any. His First Amendment right was not violated. Okay. They shut off his recording device. Okay. They even said, yeah, when we were trying to stop it, it got deleted, but it's still recoverable. We apologize for that inconvenience. They did not violate his First Amendment right because he doesn't have a First Amendment right to record in a detention cell. His Fourth Amendment right of unlawful search and seizure was not violated because law enforcement and federal law enforcement, when you are detained, are allowed to do inventory searches and take away your items and place them in a secure holding area, like his jewelry, his wallet, his phone. They gave that all back. They didn't take it. They didn't sell it off for, compensation. Where is the Fourth Amendment violation?
How much are our constitutional rights in jeopardy right now?
Eventually, through facial recognition, whatever method they used searching my vehicle, they found out who I was. They released me, and the supervisor told me that I told her she couldn't do what she just did, and she said, "This is a new administration. We don't just let people go without answering our questions." But I definitely felt violated, and I definitely felt that they violated my rights.
Show us on the DAW where your rights were violated.
There's one thing to conduct immigration enforcement and follow the law, but also to follow the United States Constitution and do it in the right way. And that was an unlawful way to do it. And,
no, it's not.
Learning from speaking to multiple attorneys that holding federal agents accountable, especially with what's going on, is very hard, if not impossible. Federal agents are not part of 1983 lawsuit claims. They are exempt from that. It's not written in the statute. There's only very limited remedies available, like a Bivens lawsuit, but courts have said that you cannot sue Border Patrol on Bivens lawsuits. So
good to see you, buddy. We've missed you over at Really Cool News, man.
The legal remedies are very limited, maybe a tort claim, but they're very limited. And without accountability,
what damages are you going to sue for a tort claim?
You know what? That is so well said and truly bears repeating. No rights without remedies. I feel like we all need to repeat that until its implications are understood and embraced. Now, part of your odyssey to measure the viability of our rights in the face of ICE and Border Patrol's aggressive tactics, you ventured into another location in Texas, a Border Patrol station. Where was this, and why did you decide to go there?
So that was a little closer to the border. That was in McAllen, Texas. It was I believe, a detention facility or a processing facility. It was that was McAllen, Texas. That's
now Sean might be stepping in some legal hot water here.
I don't know, less than 20 miles from the border, if not less than that. But yeah, I just went there because I felt violated by Border Patrol. So now I'm going to audit Border Patrol. And then I talked to lawyers, and for the first time, I've really never dealt with the federal government. They told me, there's really no remedy for suing federal agents. And I couldn't believe it.
Yes, there is not a particular remedy to sue Border Patrol, but he's wrong about you can't sue federal agents. You can file what's called a Bivens lawsuit against the federal government's agents, specifically for violations of constitutional rights. But there is a limit of who you can sue. ICE, Border Patrol, TSA are on that list. So he can't really sue Border Patrol. What could he argue for a Bivens lawsuit? He can't argue anything. And even he admitted in that live stream when this took place that he can't sue the federal government, but he wants money to file a lawsuit. That's why he started the GoFundMe. So you admit to your viewers that you can't sue, but you still want their money. Oh, he already knows this. He's been told by lawyers he can't sue Captain Starkey. He's been told that. He has no claim.
Okay, so you started filming license plates and inside the vehicles, and I assume you were sort of turning the tables given how widespread license plate recognition is used by law enforcement. So, just out of curiosity, was that part of your point, saying you surveil us, why can't we surveil you? And while you're talking, let's watch some more of your video.
All right. So when I was at the immigration checkpoint, they used a flashlight, looked all in my vehicle, besides actually searching my vehicle unlawfully. But they
Oh no, they
inside
looked
my
in your
They used the
vehicle.
plain view doctrine for that purpose. They're able to look inside your vehicle. So if it works for them, it works for me. I said I'm conducting an investigation. They thought I was just some sort of law enforcement. Like, who are you?
Sean, that's a bit of the shenanigans there. You know what? Shenanigans.
No, 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 no.
Shenanigans.
No, 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 no.
And we are calling shenanigans because Sean told them, and I will show this, that he's conducting a lawful investigation, meaning he has some form of law enforcement powers to do this investigation. What agency gives YouTubers the lawful right to conduct an investigation for contraband inside a Border Patrol vehicle or other people's vehicles?
With, and I'm like, I can't disclose that. I'm conducting a lawful investigation, and they didn't like that. So I'm looking inside the vehicles. I said I was searching for contraband, which I was, and they told me you can't be filming license plates. And I told them like this, and I filmed a license plate.
Am I an agent? An agent of Border Patrol? Yeah. No. I'm investigating. I'm conducting an investigation. What's your name?
Okay. Right there, we heard him say he's conducting an investigation. What agency is he working for? What authority gave him powers to conduct a contraband investigation in private vehicles? Can anybody tell me?
Yeah, for illegal contraband.
Huh?
Illegal contraband.
Illegal contraband?
Right.
With what agency?
I didn't say it was with an agency.
So I want to play a clip of your interaction with one officer in particular who seems to take the lead in impeding you. Let's watch for a second, and then we can discuss it afterwards.
I'm conducting an investigation. Who are
Okay,
you?
well, I'm asking the questions right now. So let me see.
Well, no, I'm the one conducting the investigation. Are you investigating?
I don't care. I don't
Are
care
you
right now.
investigating?
If you're not telling me who you are,
Right.
okay, I'm not
Are
going to
you
be asking you
investigating?
questions.
I've been a big, I'm very anti-government surveillance, and with the advent of these flock cameras that are everywhere, they are all over the United States. The law enforcement can literally follow you wherever you go and see exactly where you are at any given time, and that's a huge problem for me. So, license plates are public view. I'm allowed to film license plates, so why not? And again, I use it as a teaching tool to show people that, look, they don't like it when you film their license plate.
You're going to be off the premises.
Okay. Sean, that's a very interesting argument you made. Thank you, Parson, for gifting 5 memberships. They went to Virgo Wraith, Joe Miller, Kingston, T. Sumerma, and Adamus Gold. Again, thank you, Parson, for the 5 gifted memberships. But he says he's against government surveillance. Okay. You have a Ring doorbell. Ring works with Flock, and with a subpoena, they can get that video footage from your Ring doorbell. So are you going to remove your Ring doorbell cameras from your property, Sean? Are you going to do that? Because I've got something else here to show you from that live stream. Not that live stream, but from that video he uploaded. So I'm going to bring that up here. And we're going to go to right here where he is talking.
Border Patrol? Yeah. No. I'm investigating. I'm conducting an investigation. What's your name?
You're conducting an investigation on
Yeah,
what?
for illegal contraband.
Huh?
Illegal contraband.
Illegal contraband?
Right.
With what agency?
I didn't say it was with an agency.
Okay.
I'm conducting an investigation.
Okay,
Who are you?
well, I'm asking the questions right now. So let me see.
Well, no, I'm the one conducting the investigation. Are you investigating?
I don't care. I don't
Are
care
you
right now.
investigating?
If you're not telling me who you are,
Right.
okay, I'm not going to be asking you questions.
Okay,
So who are you,
Sean.
Is this your car?
What car?
Well, why are you around the cars?
I just told you I'm conducting an investigation.
I don't care about.
Sean, you have no right to be there. Thank you, Ron, for the $5 super chat. Sean is a habitual liar. Simple. Yeah. He does not have the authority to do any investigations. Yet he's acting as if he's a government agent. You know, he announced that he was going to run for office. How would his constituents feel knowing that the person that they would be represented by is a habitual liar? Would they feel comfortable knowing that they have somebody who was convicted for second-degree armed robbery representing them? Would they trust him with the money that is supposed to go to their district? Is he going to have their district's best interest in mind, or is it going to be his own? Because he said he would run as a Democrat, then act as an independent, then he was going to try to change law as a congressman. I wanted him to run, and I want him to win. Because then he's a government employee, and he's open to be audited by anybody who wants to hold their government accountable.
That I asked you what investigation, what agency you're
I
from,
said I'm looking.
and you're not answering me.
I don't need to answer you.
Okay, so
You're not answering me.
I don't need you around the vehicle.
Who are you, sir?
I'm a supervisor here.
Now, this
I need
is
you
not
around-
even a traditional
you around the
public
vehicle.
forum. This is a
Okay.
non-public
Well,
forum,
no,
limited at best.
investigation.
And he's
I don't
still
care
here
about
trying
your
to do this.
investigation right now.
Well, I don't.
If you're not going to tell me who you're working for, then you're going to be off the premises. It's that simple.
I'm not in a restricted area. Am I in the restricted area?
You're around the vehicles.
It's not a restricted area.
And that puts every vehicle right here in danger because I don't know who you are, and you're not telling me who you are, and you're not telling me who you are, and you're not telling me who you are.
Is that in danger of me finding contraband?
It's not about endangering of finding
Is
contraband.
there illegal
How do I know
substances? Do you have illegal
How do I
substances
know
in these
that?
vehicles? I'm just checking for illegal substances.
Who's holding
That's
you
all I did.
accountable?
And you have no business searching these vehicles.
Thank you, Hank, for the $5 super chat. LIA doesn't want to get rid of tyrants. He wants to be a tyrant. That was the best slogan for his campaign. But it's the truth. Because if he hates the government so much and he's against tyranny, why would he join and become a tyrant? That's even funnier. That he wants to do this. He wants to be a part of the corrupt system.
Okay, and if you're not going to tell me who you're working for, then you need to get out the premises.
He's been asked to leave now.
No, you know what? You're not asking questions here.
He was just.
I'm talking to you.
Okay.
I'm talking to you.
Can I help you, sir?
Who are you? Who you with?
I'm conducting an investigation here,
You
sir.
see, we already
A
talked
lawful
about that.
investigation.
What lawful investigation?
Tell me what law you're representing.
I just told you I'm looking for
No.
contraband.
What law are you in? Are you representing?
The First Amendment, sir.
No.
Okay. So you work for FAPA? You work for the First Amendment Protection Agency now? Does he pay well? Does he give dental? Because you don't represent any government agency to conduct a lawful investigation. You are a YouTuber. That's what you are. And you're on a non-public forum trying to do something that you're not supposed to do, but you say you have power to do so. There's a reason why you got the acronym LIAR. Just saying.
You know, First Amendment, all that crap, you over here, you know, this is what you're doing right now. Okay?
I'm glad that's what you think about the First Amendment.
So, what I need to know,
So
what's your name?
I didn't give it, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I'm asking. That's why I'm asking.
And I'm not going to give it.
Okay. You know what? Get PD out here. You're on their way? All right.
Would you like me to come inside and conduct my investigation?
Nah, I don't need you inside. I need you off the premises. If you're not going to tell us who you're working for, you have no business walking around as vehicles. None. Zero.
And he said it best. He has no business there. He is not a government agent. He's not there to conduct a lawful investigation. He has no authority to be there. Hey, Matt. So let's go back to the interview.
Is that simple?
I'm not in a restricted area. Am I in
We're
a
actually
restricted
gonna
area?
You're around the
jump ahead some.
For recording inside vehicles for no fine.
And are you representing?
The First Amendment, sir.
No. You know, First Amendment, all that crap, you over here, you know, this is what you're doing right now. Okay?
I'm glad that's what you think about the First Amendment.
So, what I need to know,
So
what's your name?
I didn't give it, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I'm asking. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so that was a Border Patrol agent who said he was a supervisor of Sauceda, and he did not like that I was recording. He did not like I was conducting an investigation.
What investigation? You have no authority.
You know, you can be upset. It's fine. I don't think if you're a law enforcement officer, you should be upset with people taking pictures. I think they should promote transparency. They should respect our First Amendment right. He was very upset. He did not like the fact that I was recording license plates or recording inside of vehicles. But he let his, you know, one of my biggest things is never let anyone else control your emotions because they control you completely. And whether he thought that what I was doing was wrong or not, he wasn't in control of his emotions. And as a federal officer, that is extremely dangerous. And that's why I do what I do. It's not just recording in license plates and for recording inside vehicles.
You do what you do for the money. Because you make almost $1 million a year or close to it from both of your channels combined. You have no lawful authority to conduct any kind of investigation.
For no purpose. I just exposed a Border Patrol supervisor who has zero control of his emotions.
Where you're standing is a restricted area.
You know what? You know, you're just like this right now. That's all you are.
You're doing more than talking than I am.
That's right, because I have the right to. And I'm the one that's here because I work here.
Interesting. I'm working right now too.
Yeah, okay. That's what you're saying. Yeah, but you don't tell me who you're working for.
Do any of you have any complaints against your supervisor here that you would like to come forward as a whistleblower?
You know, you're pretty ridiculous, right? But the thing,
you know, one thing that always strikes me when I watch your video is, I guess, basically the disregard or at least the lack of respect for your rights. I know it's not something they're used to, or perhaps they're just wary of it, but they seem to just always overreact to a camera, which shouldn't be a threat. So why do you think he was so obviously angry during the encounter? I mean, I know filming can make someone uncomfortable, but it's a totally protected right. I mean, it seems to happen every time you show up somewhere to film. A cop becomes angry for no obvious reason.
So I think it all comes down to power and ego. I think that they believe that when I just saw a video just before I came on this interview of an ICE agent, someone was filming them. He took a picture of their license plate and of their face. And she's like, I'm just recording you exercising my rights. And he says, she's like, why do you need to record my things? Why do you need to record me and my oh, he says, because we have a database that now you're a domestic terrorist.
Okay. Again, he brings that up, but the reason why ICE are now taking photos of people who are interfering with their investigations is because people have been violent with them. Hey, Vilified Freedom, good to see you, brother. You guys haven't gone to his channel, you're not subscribed yet, please go there. He's been a great friend to me since I started out on YouTube. He's a awesome content creator. He puts out awesome videos. He is one of the legends in the anti-auditing, frauditing community. And he's just a solid bro, solid man. But the reason why they are making these databases for these people are, if you look at the news and you see the reports of people attacking ICE, hold on one second. Yeah. He's actually making a lot of the same arguments. I know I'm getting off topic with what I was saying, but no, that he is actually using a lot of the same frauditor tactics as his defense in court for this incident that happened in the church. He's saying he has a First Amendment right to be inside the church. He has a First Amendment right to stop people from going in. He was involved in the plans of what happened. Thank you, Vilified Freedom, for the $10 super chat. Thank you for the kind words, brother. Hey, you didn't have to do that. I greatly appreciate that. I'm always happy to shout out another great content creator and a Buckeye. And, you know, I got to thank you, man. You helped me out a lot when I first started out. And if I can help get more eyes to your channel and help get more people to enjoy your content, man, hey, I'm happy to help. Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. But yeah, Don Lemon G's in the same thing. And William Kelly, the woke farmer, admitted he's a paid protester. He admitted he was a part of it and he disrupted services because he didn't like what they were doing. The person in question that they were looking to disrupt wasn't even there. They disrupted it and caused people to get hurt. They put people in fear of expressing their First Amendment right of freedom of religion. We see a lot of fraudsters do that. You know, a lot of the West Coast crew go to churches, synagogues, mosques, and they harass these people for exercising a First Amendment protected right. And yet, they're the champions for the First Amendment. That is utter bullshit, in my opinion. Hey, Mrs. Tom, good to see you. Thank you for stopping by.
So for this woman, this is an ICE agent that I just seen the video. I wouldn't say it if it wouldn't happen. He says, because you're now a domestic terrorist, we have a database. So it's scary. But to your question, they hate it because it holds them accountable, especially if they're engaged in their duties or something. But even something as mundane as filming them while they're just standing outside or anything like that, they're not doing anything. They don't like it.
That is true.
You can record all you want. Record over there on the street.
Those videos get demonetized. They stop making money.
Where's the sign?
They'll go away.
Government property.
And where's the signs?
Look, the PD's on the way.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm giving you one chance.
Where do you think I'm going? I'm not giving me a chance for anything. You're violating my rights.
They gave you multiple chances to get off the property when they told you multiple times to get off the property.
They've been made clear to me time and time again over the last 4 years is that law enforcement, the people in power, hate that we the people have rights. They don't like it.
They don't
like being filmed. They have a power trip. It's all when I do speaking engagements and trainings at law enforcement agencies, I always harp on it's about ego. It's about ego. They always just want.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Lack of emotional control. How dare you film me? How dare you? Or turn that off. A lot of the times, the real contention comes when they give you an order, an unlawful order. Turn that off. Give me your ID, and you just say, I'll just say no, I'm not going to do that. And they're not used to hearing that because most people just, sure, sir, I'm going to hand you my ID. I'm going to turn off my camera. I'm going to do whatever you want because you're the law. And when they hear that pushback and when they get that pushback, they don't know how to respond to that. They have no idea.
That is the stupidest thing ever.
Get out of that situation. It just immediately turns into anger and contempt for the person that's in front of them.
So
before we get into her next question to him, the channel Angry Cops brought this up. You know, a lot of the First Amendment auditors say, oh, they need body cams. They need to all have body cams. He's encouraged it. He's like, yes, because you know why? It has put a stop to a lot of BS from people. Look at Chile when he was arrested for the disorderly conduct by Officer Bork. He claims that he was punched in the junk, although none of that shows up on any body cam footage. It shows him being told multiple times to step away from the driver in the vehicle, but it also shows him encroaching more and more. We have seen body cam footage expose frauditors a lot. And yet, no, we can't. They're tyrants. They're violating our rights. Yeah, there have been incidents in the past where cops have violated people's rights. I'm not going to say it's never happened or it doesn't happen, because it does. But that doesn't mean all cops are bad. Cops are people. Some people just suck. That is a fact of life. And body cams expose bad cops. Sean doesn't care about that. Sean only cares about his agenda, his narrative. The way they're spinning this narrative here on him being at that processing center is what he wants. Because it makes him look like he had his rights violated. He was lying to them, saying that he's conducting a lawful investigation with no law enforcement authority. He was asked to leave the property multiple times until PD shows up and trespass his ass from the property.
I just want to talk a little bit about some of the pushback you've received over your work regarding ICE and Border Patrol. I know there are people who watch you and support you, but don't like you holding ICE accountable. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's been very eye-opening to me to how my personal viewership has responded to me auditing ICE, Border Patrol, and speaking about these different topics. Some of my audience likes to think that this is a political stance that I'm taking. It's not. It's just objectively not a political stance.
No, it's totally political.
But this is not political. This is the law. All I'm advocating is for the law and the Constitution, which I've been doing since I started my channel, and it has nothing to do with politics. Regardless of your feelings for illegal.
But it is about politics. It is about policy change, because of this, you announced that you would run for office. Because of this, is exactly what it is. Because of this whole thing, when people disagreed with Sean on what happened at the border checkpoint and what's been going on at these protests that he didn't even go to. He went to one protest and really didn't do anything. He just walked around. We covered it on a live stream here where he was afraid, and we got to see the real Sean without the painted beard. He was insulting people who disagreed with him. He was telling people, if you don't like what I'm saying, leave. I don't need you. As a content creator, and if Vilified's still here, he'll back me up. You need your viewers. You need them, because you have nothing without them. You need to treat them with respect. If you have a disagreement with them, insulting them is not going to make them stay. Having a conversation with them, hey, email me. Let's exchange viewpoints. Let's see if we could find some common ground. If I start insulting my side chat, you're going to leave. He comes into my comment section and insults my viewers, my subscribers, for exercising their right of expression on their thoughts on him in a video, calling them bootlickers, calling them stupid. And I have the screenshots. If he ever comes on here, I would love to debate him. I would have a third party mediate. I would love to have him explain why he had the gall and the urge to come into my little channel and insult my viewers for expressing their First Amendment rights. I have a feeling he won't do it because he's too scared.
Immigration, and if you want, reasonable people can disagree reasonably, and we can have different opinions on how the law is enforced, but the law is the law, the Constitution is the Constitution, and the immigration, what happened to me at Border Patrol was completely unlawful.
It was lawful.
Says, well,
they had the right to detain you. They did.
We have a big illegal immigration problem, Sean, here in this country. I've gotten comments, emails. You should have just, you're a citizen. You should have just said you were a citizen. You would have a nice day. I look at it twofold. One, immigration checkpoints really, other than having a dog, which they did, they ran a dog around my car. Other than having a dog and maybe shining a flashlight into your car, they really have no legitimate purpose for any function, because if someone's an illegal immigrant, you think they're just going to be like, yeah, I'm an illegal immigrant? Wouldn't they just say they're a United States citizen and then you keep going? Because that's what happens. I passed through that checkpoint again after, and they just let me.
Yeah. I'm glad he brought that up. I am so glad he brought that up, because you know what happened the next time he went through that checkpoint? You know what happened next? I'm going to find that video because, oh, it's right here. Okay. Now I'm going to bring this up because this is what happened the next time he went through that checkpoint. That exact same checkpoint he got detained at. Watch.
Experience was completely different.
Here we go again. You gonna violate my rights again?
The what?
You gonna violate my rights again?
Anytime, man. You're a citizen.
I don't answer questions, man. You guys searched my vehicle unlawfully last time I came through here, cut open my luggage. I'm not doing it again.
So you're just...
I'm exercising my constitutional rights. That's what I'm doing. I'm not answering any question.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. We just saw that now. We just saw that. He spoke to them. He then said he's not going to incriminate himself. He's going to invoke his constitutional rights. Compare that to what happened the first time of him just not talking. The big difference there, isn't it? Big difference. He talked to them. He told them he was invoking his rights, and they let him go. I saw a quote from Paul here. No, he's been on there before where he's talked about cops violating his rights when they haven't, mostly with the Fahey situation. The Real News Network, that particular video is a part of an anti-cop news story they do. Now, you just saw both interactions at that same checkpoint. First one, he doesn't talk. Second one, he talks. Tell me what the difference is. And why wasn't he detained for a second time? Because he talked to them. He told them he was invoking his rights.
A whole different set of officers, and they just allowed me to go through. I said, I'm not going to violate, you're not going to violate my rights here today. And they were like, well, have a nice day. You have that right. And they let me through the same exact checkpoint.
Yeah, because you fucking talked, you fucking moron.
But again, if you don't exercise your rights, then you don't have them. I don't care what problem this country is facing, whether it's illegal immigration, terrorism problems, our rights are non-negotiable. We should not surrender our rights just because there's a problem in our country, because if they're going to do it now, but for example, I'll just go really quickly. I posted a story that ICE has an internal memo, the Department of Homeland Security has an internal memo that they said that administrative warrants are good enough to enter someone's home. That's simply just not true. So I posted that this is very concerning as an American, and they're like,
But
well,
you're
illegal
leaving out the
immigrants have no
fact
rights.
that
Again,
they
that's not true.
were
Whether you want
being
them to have
addressed
rights
in
or
court
not,
about
they
that.
just do. I'm not
You're
taking
leaving
a
out that
position
part
on whether
here.
they should or not. I'm just saying that they do. I'm operating with what the law is right now, and they do. The Constitution says they do. It uses persons, and the Supreme Court has interpreted it that way. So, and if they can go into illegal immigrants' homes with an administrative warrant, you need an Article 3 judicial warrant in order to enter someone's home. First,
but you're forgetting if they also have a deportation order
group.
on them.
It first happens to one group, and then it's going to fall back on you, because once you give up your rights and you give power to the government, in this case, the federal government, they're not going to give it back.
I just want to say, Sean, how much I appreciate you and your work, not just your videos, but your courage in fighting for the betterment of all of us. It is honestly inspiring to watch you defend our rights and to witness your talent and engaging your audience.
Okay. How's he bettering the rights of New Yorkers right now? There is a federal injunction that only allows him to record inside NYPD precincts. Only him. He's the only person in the world who can do it. Because you can't, I'm talking to all of you, you guys can't go into an NYPD precinct and start recording in the lobby. I can't. We'd be trespassed. What is happening here is the false narrative that frauditors are fighting for our First Amendment rights. They are not. Because I exercise my rights all the time. When I leave my house and I go out for a walk, I put my headphones on and I start singing. I am singing songs. Sometimes they have expletives in it. I'm singing that in public. I don't get hassled by the cops. I don't need Sean to fight for my rights. I fight for my rights every time. I exercise them every time I leave my house. If it's a shirt I wear that has an expression or a design on it that some people might not like, that's my right to wear it and express that opinion. When I make my videos calling out frauditors, that's my right of expression, my freedom of speech. I get people in my side chat, my comment section, oh, you're a bootlicker, you're a tyrant. Okay, that's your right. I'm not going to block you. I'm not going to kick you off my thing unless you say something encouraging violence or racism or sexism or, trying to dox people. Then you get kicked out. But I let people express their rights. Frauditors don't. Frauditors do not like it when you go to their comment section and you use your rights to criticize them. They block you. They hide your comments. They insult you because they don't care about the First Amendment.
All for preserving our most valuable commodity, without which our democracy cannot survive, and that is the civil right to dissent. So, Sean, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. And now, to get a reaction to what we just watched, I'm joined by my reporting partner, Stephen Janis. Stephen,
this is going to be even better.
For joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Stephen, what are your thoughts on this engagement by Sean with federal authorities? I mean, what do you think?
Man, that guy is brave. Okay, I just want to say, going up to a federal checkpoint in this day and age when people are disappearing on a regular basis, and to see.
Can you provide proof of that statement? Can you provide documentation of that? Because if not, that's a false statement. That's not really accurate for a journalist. I'm not going to say something that I can't prove without documentation, without, an actual bit of proof that is legitimate proof. Unlike Sean with his war on the mayor of Melbourne. Yeah. He's accused the mayor of embezzling $10,000 for a legitimate contract for Habitat for Humanity.
Him go up and just say nothing was bravery that I have not seen in a long time. I mean, cop watchers are pretty brave. I mean, I've watched a lot of people go out and confront police in places that I wouldn't have done it. But in this particular case, that was exceptionally brave. And I really want to take my hat off to Sean just for how he handled it.
Stephen, you've witnessed this kind of constitutional violation before. This is not new to you.
It's not a constitutional violation.
We're right. You can't watch Sean's videos and not think that what he's doing is just what he's done in other situations, just a different federal agency. So I think all the cop watching we have covered in the past has culminated in this moment of ICE's unconstitutional policing. And I think Sean is a big part of the people who've been keeping police in check. And it's good actually to see it happening.
Stephen, what are your concerns about the actions of ICE and Border Patrol in our cities?
I think the thing that's struck me the most is how cop watchers for the past 6-7 years that we've been covering them have been talking about constitutional policing and how important it is, and how those ideals and principles have been utterly abandoned by the ICE surges in places like Minneapolis. And what it has led to is tragedy. Constitutional policing is not optional. It's not really like something that limits your ability to enforce the law. What it does is make sure that you don't violate people's rights to the extent that you start hurting them and creating.
Okay. So what about the people trying to dox ICE agents for doing their job? Sean put out a video the other day of an off-duty ICE agent filling up his car at a gas station and some guy just running up onto his car, trying to film it, trying to film the license plate, trying to film it in the vid, and they got into an altercation. That ICE agent is being charged with a misdemeanor offense. Okay. We're going to let the courts handle that. But that's a mild example of what's been going on at these protests, of them putting up barricades and stopping random people who they suspect to be ICE and demanding their IDs, demanding to search their cars. Why aren't you calling out that as a news agency? Why do you have to spin the narrative of, oh, it's ICE that's violating people's rights? What about these people who are going around and putting up barricades and demanding people who have no law enforcement authority, no powers of government to provide ID and to search their vehicles and to attack them and steal their property? Because it's happened. It's happened. And they don't say anything about it. But because Sean went to a border checkpoint, refused to cooperate, refused to answer any questions, was detained until they can verify his status as a U.S. citizen, oh, they violated his rights. They're the tyrants. They're the criminals.
Tragedies and creating pain and sorrow in these communities. The Constitution was well thought out and has been well tested in court and should be implemented. Cop watchers have been saying this for almost a decade, and we have been paying attention, obviously. Maybe more people in the administration need to start watching YouTube, because the truth is, without constitutional policing, you have nothing but lawlessness.
Now, if there's one aspect of my discussion with Sean,
I don't believe a thing he just said.
It is the through line that connects all the aggressive tactics of ICE and the people who argue that they are necessary. And what I mean is that from the onset, there has been a
why do you need to do that jump
still unaddressed
justification
just
for ICE
overreach. And it's an argument that needs to be addressed directly, if for no other reason to make clear what is at stake. To put it simply,
why do you keep doing that?
Conducts an illegal search on someone's house.
That fade in, that is just annoying as hell. You can just say your whole thing right there.
One simple rhetorical device used by government officials to counter any concerns raised by their recklessness. It's a fairly straightforward offering that's supposed to negate any claims that this whole enterprise is spiraling out of control. Here it goes. Sure, we violated the
again with that fucking
and
jump
sure,
cut.
We took a life without justification. And sure, we don't care about the First Amendment or the Second Amendment, but we're doing all of this because there are rapists and murderers out there who remain free otherwise. We are just trying to catch violent criminals who need to be behind bars to make our community safe. So stop worrying about your pesky rights or overly aggressive use of deadly force. Well, that is certainly one way of looking at it. But let me paraphrase this for you so that it is clear what this
here
very
comes Sean.
public,
Here's
and I would
quote.
say terrifying justification boils down to: we can't enforce the law unless we break the law. Think about it. What they're saying is that you can be safe or you can have rights, but you can't have.
Nobody's saying that.
Or put another way, Unless you allow us to abandon the Constitution, you will not be safe. The rules aren't for us.
You know, I wonder how they would feel if they were back in time during the Civil War when President Lincoln suspended habeas corpus. Would they say that's a violation of rights? Would they say that's unconstitutional? Would they say that the people fighting for the South who seceded from the country, who said, no, we were no longer part of the United States of America, we're our own countries now, we're our own states, we're not going to follow your laws, would they be on their side? You know, they always bring up, oh, well, they violated this person's right. Okay. What about all the other people violating rights? What about the frauditors going into non-public forums and demanding that they get special treatment? What about the frauditors encouraging their followers to harass government employees because they broke the law and got kicked out of a building? You know, Frauditer News Network, she's a good friend, has a solid channel. She's been reporting on the Press NH Now incident that happened where he was arrested, and that his followers have been harassing a receptionist, leaving her obscene voicemails, obscene emails, calling her all kinds of vile things when she had nothing to do with it. But yet they won't disavow that. They won't say, no, don't do that. Hell, I have a video on my channel of the armed fisherman playing obscene phone calls to a police department, laughing and eating popcorn about the vile thing said to a receptionist. They think that's funny. Vilified Freedom brings this up all the time. What if that was your sister, your wife, your girlfriend, your mother, your aunt? Would you want someone to talk to them the way the frauditors and their followers do? I highly doubt if Sean's wife worked as a government employee, as a receptionist, and somebody called her up and started insulting her the same way these people's followers do. Do you think he's not going to be up in arms? He's not going to be enraged? He's not going to start wanting to have these people prosecuted?
Just for everyone else. If this weren't such a naked power grab, it would be comical. If this wasn't a devil's bargain that demands we relinquish our constitutional rights so ICE can make an arrest, it would be a parody. How else could you explain a federal government asking us to look the other way while they tear apart the very foundation of what it means to be an American in the first place? I mean, the Bill of Rights are not suggestions. They are not like a menu of options that can be embraced or ignored at your convenience. They don't enumerate rights and protections so federal officials can decide arbitrarily which ones are in effect and which ones aren't. Or let me put it another way, so that our federal government can understand. The Fourth, the Fifth, and Sixth Amendment aren't negotiable. The rights they convey are not provisional. The constitutional protections people in our nation
Nobody's trying to violate
for
those Fourth,
are
Fifth,
not
or
up
Sixth
for
Amendments
debate.
with these ICE
More importantly,
detentions
they can't simply be taken away when
when they have
government
lawful
says so.
deportation orders.
That's not how the Constitution, which I remind you, all of ICE included, pledged to defend, works. It's not how the whole idea of a constitutional republic functions. The version that protects our rights operates within the law.
Well,
The other
well, here's the problem
which
right there,
seems to have
darling. We are not a constitutional republic. We're a representative republic. Okay, we elect people into office, into positions of power, and they delegate the laws and the rules. She's just like the Siberian tiger when he goes up to cops and says he's their master, he's their boss. If we are the employee, if they are our employees, why can't myself go up to the local police and say, you know what? All of you guys are getting raises. I can't do that. I don't have that power. None of these idiots who are frauders have that power. They use the First Amendment as a tool to harass and bully and belittle people. That is the problem. DJ, you're right. I did speak, but that's the thing. I'm willing to admit when I make a mistake. I can do that. I have that power. I'm only human. I do make mistakes. But when does a frauditor admit that they were wrong?
More and more a reality, perceives rights as perishable and subject to the whims of unfettered power. I mean, remember the famous quote of Benjamin Franklin, one of our country's founders, about this topic. He said very famously, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Just think about it. If there is one topic we have covered on this show for years that consistently reemerges, is the idea of police overreach. And if there's one argument I have heard over and over again when police partisans try to justify it, is that there is some criminal menace or evil gang member or sex offender whose very existence makes it necessary to abandon our founding principles. The only path to safety, they say, is to follow Franklin's adage and trade our liberty for temporary safety. And temporary is the key word here.
I think we've had enough of this woman. We've had enough of her. Now we're going to get ready to end this stream. And there was one other thing I wanted to bring up. Sean had a court date this week. He had a court date on the 11th. Now, after all of his other court dates for this Fahey situation, he's put out a video, he's put out a live stream, but he hasn't done anything this week. Now, I'm willing to bet Sean probably got some bad news that they're not dropping the charges, that they're going to go full bore with the trespassing charge, which he says he didn't break because he's not a car. That channel is called The Real News Network. And you know what? I'm going to pull up their channel and I'm going to show it because they are clearly biased about. So here is their channel. If you want to go there and leave them a few words. Okay. And here's their description. The Real News Network is a viewer-supported media network bringing you stories from the front lines of the fight for a better world. Okay. Here's their latest video that they did with Sean. This is the kind of stuff they do. You can clearly see they have a bias. And at one point, I do know they were affiliated with the Young Turks, and the Young Turks is a very liberal network. But Sean released no update on what's happening with this court case, which we're all wondering what's happening with that. He has lost a lot of funding from his GoFundMe's because of the spin out with the last live streams he's been doing, the insult to his followers, because they don't agree with him on a certain point. It's just baffling on how they do this. I want to thank everybody who stopped by and watched this live stream. I will keep you guys updated on the Fahey case and anything else. But don't just follow me. I am a regular guest on Really Cool News. They put out a video. They put out a nightly stream Monday through Saturday where we discuss the news from the auditing world. They also play some body cam footage where we have fun. But they also have a newspaper that puts out stories that follow auditors and the fiasco that is the Chile de Castro cases. I have a link to them in my description box if you want to go over there, check them out, let them know I sent you. I will be there tonight, so if you guys want to have some fun, I highly recommend it. And on that, be well, be safe. And I also forgot to thank all of you fine people who gave me super chats and the gifted memberships. You guys didn't have to do that, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Have a happy Valentine's Day, a safe weekend, and I will see you guys next time.